How's it going? And welcome to the Health is Wealth podcast. We are a few episodes into this. And this podcast is really about my own personal, health and wealth journey. As I'm trying to elevate my physical standards, my financial standards. A lot of this comes into just overall how this all ties in together, and just other, trains of thought with that of just life in general. So excited to bring another one to you. Really want to get back into doing these, and they're just really fun. So, the message I have today to go into is the if not you, then who mentality, right? And what that really means to me is if not you, then who? I really think that, there's either someone in the family or people in a family, or maybe you in a group setting of people, whether it's your friends, acquaintances or so forth. There's always someone who recognizes maybe there's something that needs to change, right? Maybe it's not essentially that you are in a bad place, but maybe you always feel that there is something more out there. And so, when I think about this, I think about, if it's not going to be you, who in that circle of people is going to be the one, right, to change the situation, to change the scenario, to change the circumstances. Maybe you all kind of recognize it, but if nobody steps up to do anything to change stuff, then what's really ever going to change, right? And just to kind of give you an extreme analogy right here, imagine your house is burning, right? Maybe you and other people recognize that it is burning, but nobody does anything to actually take the step to go put it out. And what's going to happen? Eventually it's going to burn, right? And so, like I said, I know it's a little extreme of an analogy, but, I correlate that to maybe things going on in your world, in your life. Maybe your situation isn't the absolute greatest. Maybe you recognize that there's a little bit more in life that you want, whatever it may be. And if nobody else is doing anything about it, and you're not doing anything about it, then who is? And really what this comes back to is taking that step, if nobody else is, right? Taking that step, that leap forward to actually change things. Because if it's not you, then who, right? And so going back to this thinking of, somebody's always got to be the one who steps up to the plate. I tend to think, like I said, that I believe there's always someone in the influence of people that you're around. Now, maybe other people recognize it, but maybe people around you don't. But I typically think it's the one who recognizes that there's more out there that needs to be the one, the who, that does something to change it, because if not, the situation never changes. So, it's always about stepping up to the plate and making moves and doing things to make that change in a circumstance, and whatever it is may be, right? Like I said, maybe you're not in a bad situation. Maybe you're in an okay situation, but maybe you just see that there's more out there. And we just always have to recognize that, life just doesn't happen by chance. It only happens by change. Somebody has to make something happen. And if you believe that might be you in your influence of people, well, then it's time for you to step up. It's time for you to make it happen, because sometimes it's that one person in that setting, in that group, that is supposed to be the person who's supposed to be the who to help move the needle. And in order for anybody else to be able to move forward in life, it always comes down to that one person most times. And if it's not you, then who, right? And so it's really about doing a self-evaluation about where you're at in life and in your circle of influences, in your circle of family or whatever it is, to really ask yourself that is, if it's not me, then who, and if you can't see anybody around who's maybe taking those kind of initiatives of like, hey, let's think a little bit different here. Let's move the needle a little bit more. Let's push our vision a little bit more. Let's think a little bit bigger in life. I do believe there's a lot of people who are content, maybe they don't see the vision of a bigger life. Maybe they don't think there's more out there, whatever it may be. I don't think that necessarily everybody sees it the same way. But I do feel in most, there's always one or a couple, and again, a family setting or a group or friend setting, right? That are always thinking more, always thinking, is this really it? Is there more out there we can be doing, living, experiencing? And so that's really what that mindset is coming down to, because if it's not you, then who? There's got to be somebody somewhere who is going to think bigger, who's going to do bigger moves, who is going to, I guess, essentially just take, again, that initiative to be like, hey, we got to do something. There's got to be something better out here than this. And like I said, it can be an extreme of, maybe you're not in a bad place. Maybe you're just like, gosh, what if there is more? But maybe you are in a bad place and you recognize it and people around you recognize it. But if nobody's stepping up and doing something, it absolutely will not change. So, if it's not you, then who? And so if you have that feeling on your heart and your mind when you're thinking about these things, I think you already know. I'm not quite sure how many people out there have that sense of, there's something earning in you that's always pushing for more, for bigger, for greater. But I always feel into myself that there is that out there. And so I'm constantly doing what I can with my own life to be the one to kind of help, if anything, just having the conversations to be like, hey, what if there's more to all this? I'm not in a bad place by any means. I'm super grateful for the life that I am living now. I have my health, I have my family, I have a lot of things that most people don't. But again, to always question, is there more? What's next? What's bigger? I think it's the pursuit of, that journey, right? And so, just wanted to end the message here with that today, just to really get you thinking about that. If it's not going to be you, then who? And if you don't see anybody in your inner circle, in your family or your group, pushing things like that, making moves, taking initiatives, having the conversations, yet you recognize that, hey, something's got to change here. We're going to do something different to really kind of get ourselves further along in life. Then I think you already know. So with that, thank you so much for joining. Tuning into this podcast. I will be putting out some more. I do enjoy doing these. It's just been a while since I've had the chance to do it. I've kind of got a new setup going, and so look forward to putting out more with that. But again, I hope you have a great rest of your day.